guys doing? Welcome to Phie.Love Intuitive Conversations. I hope you guys are good. Yeah. If you like my content, please do like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, if there's any negativity, if there's any hate, please do keep that on your side of the street, okay? It won't be acknowledged. So, family, in this video, I'm being guided by Spirit to briefly talk about, or sort of bring our awareness to, and in an attempt to bring a different perspective to one of the biggest karma generators, right? One of the biggest energy imbalances, one of the biggest karma imbalances that that we engage in unconsciously every day in our lives, okay? Especially if you're somebody that hasn't taken the time yet to go within and look at yourself and take some time to assess the way your own energy, your own emotions, your own beliefs, your perspectives that you hold affect the way you generate emotion and project onto things and others in the outside world, right? The system understands that as long as you are not regulated, as long as you're not personally managing and aware of those aspects of yourself, right, and in conscious control of them, you're in a constant state of generating emotions, because whatever they program into you has programmed you to be responsive and reactive to the outside world and your outside experience, right? So you're in a state of constantly being triggered by what it is you see, what it is you're thinking, and generating emotions that then project a negative energy onto things, situations, and people, as well as into the spiritual realm out there, right? So as this happens, you start generating unconsciously karma. And because it's an everyday unconscious thing, and it's happening even in areas of your engagements and your interpretations of things within yourself and with other people that you're not even aware of. It's another one of those really layered issues, right? So, with that being said, Spirit would like you to take some time to sit with yourself, right? And consider your beliefs. Consider the way certain things in your experience trigger emotion. Consider your own personal dialogue. Consider your response to certain things. What kinds of emotions do you find yourself generating throughout the day that you end up projecting? And it's negative emotions, right? Because the programming is generally set to be on the lower spectrum of things, not in the higher vibratory, that's the word, the higher vibratory side of the spectrum of this experience, right? You literally have to consciously work yourself out and move yourself into that higher space of the spectrum. If you're not, you're existing in the lower side of it that is basically programmed into you to exist in and operate on by the system. Because as long as you're in that space, you're here, you're in this realm, and when you disembody, you come back. Because why? You've generated karma. Nothing that you do in the spiritual realm goes unaccounted. And whatever energy you put out, whatever imbalances you create in the spiritual realm, at some point has to come back and be balanced out by your soul. You need to learn the lesson. You need to awaken to it. It's an energy you need to work out. okay? And just because for some people you might not feel it in this lifetime, let's believe in the next lifetime. It's something that it's an imbalance your soul needs to work out. It will come, it will manifest into your life. You'll be faced with it or cycles of whatever it is that you've put out into the world, that you've put out into the that you've put out into the world and into the collective energy. Whatever you put out, you get back. It has to come back. It has to cycle back. And you're the one who has to work it out. You're the one who has to balance it out. You're the one who has to eventually transmute that energy, right? So some people might not be able to comprehend it or take it seriously, but when you're in those states of being, when you're projecting onto other people, you're only hurting yourself, okay? And it might not always be immediately understood, immediately perceivable, but on a higher level, it's something that you're setting up for your soul to have to deal with. You're going to have to learn whatever lesson it is at some point, okay? So don't get too high in your ego, and think that, you just go through your life and you can do and say and project and whatever it is, as you please, and that it won't be something that you're going to have to work out and experience and learn the lesson and also put yourself into somebody else's perspective and experience at some point. So the more self-aware you are, the less karma and imbalance you generate for yourself to have to work out. And again, with the energy rising and us ascending into a higher dimension of consciousness and experience, all of these cycles that, in the past took months, maybe even years, or sometimes even lifetimes to come back or have to work out, the energy is speeding up. What they would like to say, time is speeding up. So what used to take longer in the past starts coming back quicker, okay? Where you've created imbalances, where you've hurt people, if you haven't gotten to the point yet of looking at yourself and seeing and acknowledging where you've put negativity out and where you need to actually balance yourself out, or where you consistently keep on projecting and putting negativity out, you're going to be faced with situations where you're going to have to experience that very same energy and transmute it into something higher and something different by learning a lesson, okay? So what Spirit wants us to be aware of is everywhere within the system, wherever, every point that you engage the system, there's some level of judgment that you've been programmed to engage in, right? And when you judge on others, you put out a negative energy. When you judge things that don't fall into the space of normal, right? Everything that the ring fence around your understanding and the way you operate and the way you see the world, right? Anything outside of that fence, you will automatically judge. You will automatically generate some sort of emotion towards, or you've been programmed at some point within the system to judge in some way, with hatred, with disgust, with anger, with rejection. All of those are emotions that are layered under that are projected energy and emotions that are layered under what you've been programmed to judge and feel some kind of way about, right? those emotions carry an energy. And it's those emotions that you project onto somebody else, that you make somebody else feel, that whether it's, again, rejection, making someone feel excluded, inflicting pain on somebody, having negative thoughts, feelings of disgust. That's all negative energy that you're projecting. Okay? And all of those emotions, all of the thoughts, and the energy combined that you project onto others is what's generating karma for you. The system controls what you would, what you see as authentic, right? They control what you see as normal. They control what the collective energy of the general population feels grounded in among one another. Everybody's a crab in the bucket, right? So the moment you see or engage something that is outside of the confines of that bucket, of the energy in the bucket, you're programmed to automatically project something negative to it. You're programmed to automatically judge it. You've been programmed to see this as beautiful, this is not beautiful, this as right, everybody's seeing this as normal, this not as normal. And this is what you understand. What you don't understand, you start judging negatively. You treat it with disgust, you treat it with negativity, you treat it with rejection, you treat it with all those ugly things. And then you inflict in the energetic realm and space, even though the next person might not fully be able to understand it, because you project that ugly stuff with a smile on your face. You project that ugly stuff when you're going behind someone's back, when you've left someone's environment and you start gossiping about them. You project that ugly stuff when you're writing nasty things online, or projecting your ideas and your reactions and your opinions in all sorts of ways, thinking that you're right all the time, when really you're just you're unconsciously playing into the system's agenda to have you consistently generate karma for yourself, have consistently build yourself up and experience in the future that you're going to have to go through. And like I said, whether it's in this lifetime or the next one that you incarnate into, you won't be able to get away from it. What's your energy is your energy. What's yours is yours. Right? So, to those out there, excuse me, to those out there who take some time to also think about what your ideas are around authenticity. What do you judge and feel and believe is authentic, and what isn't? What on other people do you judge and feel disgusted by and feel like you need to reject and feel like isn't a part? And what do you consider as something that is normal and that is accepted? Because what you don't perceive as normal, what you don't accept as it is, and what you project onto, what you judge and layer under your judgment with an energy and an emotion that you project onto what you see as not normal, may be authentic, may be that authenticity that you're too afraid to exist in. Maybe that authenticity that you don't understand. Maybe that authenticity that makes you uncomfortable. Maybe that authenticity that makes you feel embarrassed to be around, because it isn't like you. It doesn't exist and move in the same energy like you. It's not in the space of trying to exist within the lines of normal and accepted like you that you do unconsciously every single day. What and who are you projecting onto? Right? Who in your life do you look at and see, as fine with themselves? Oftentimes, the programming also has people who are stuck in the programming, people who are confined to trying to fit into their ideas and what has been defined to them, or what they define as normal and accepted. They're programmed to judge people who seem to be or look like they are fine in the energy of what would be termed as abnormal. What do you label as weird? Because also when you're projecting, when you're labeling and judging somebody as weird, pay attention to the undertone of emotion that you're feeling and projecting onto that person. When you're judging somebody's appearance, when you're judging somebody's way of being and their personality with your friends or whoever it is, feeling something while you're within your clique of a group and there's someone in the group that that somehow just doesn't 100% fit in because, they exist more in their own energy than that of the group. That they can't sit with us type of energy, the one who threatens you with their authenticity that you label as weird. Their authenticity that shines a light to you where you're afraid to act out and be in your own energy, to be yourself. You're afraid, so you judge it, and then you project ugly things onto it, ugly emotions, ugly thoughts, because you're afraid, because you don't want to look at yourself, because you're afraid to move the way you want to move. You move in a way that you believe is acceptable to the environment and those around you. You move according to what's trending. You dress and you manipulate yourself according to what you believe is normal and accepted and going to garner you attention and acceptance. Again, those are not easy things to admit to yourself if you exist in that energy. You call what fascinates you authentic, not the person who's comfortably moving around in their energy and their space, and maybe even your space. No, they're not authentic. They're weird. They're out of the ordinary. They're not a part of your culture. They don't belong. You can't join with them. You can't love them. You can't take them home to your family. You can't be seen with them. They can be your friend, but only in certain settings, right? You'll only claim them in certain settings because the people who, you classify as normal and accepted and accepting or acceptable that you exist in your general everyday life don't accommodate for an energy that you have to warn people about, right? Because they move different. And the only reason they move different is because they don't confine themselves to normal and what's accepted. And then you tell yourself you're doing them a favor. You think you're being a good person by keeping them away from this group and that group of your friends. friends, right, who accept you, who you feel accepted by, who you play the roles and the games with, right, who make you feel like you're important, like you're something or somebody in your circles. Think that you're right for, not even realizing that by simply having those consciously feeling like, somebody isn't going to fit here with this group of people that you have, and you gotta deal with them individually, deal with them in isolation, moving around righteously, not even realizing that you're still in a place of judgment. You're just having someone around to soothe your issues, but you actually judge them. You reject them. You don't accept them. And you know that whoever you exist around isn't going to accept them either, because you all are the same. You exist in that confinement and that definition of what you've been programmed to believe is normal, is accepted. Even in those situations where you least expect it, you're generating karma for yourself, generating and building up an energy and for your soul to have to experience being in the position of the person that you're judging at some point in your soul's journey ahead. It goes beyond just this lifetime. Your soul surpasses the vessel. Okay? So take some time to consider what you see as authentic and what you see as fascinating. Are you as non-judgmental and accepting as you are, or as you want to believe that you are? Or are you just existing in an illusion that a person who doesn't want to look at themselves and really accept and see themselves in the true state and place that they exist in, and their own fears? Because considering all this stuff requires you to also confront fears, right? That you don't want to accept, fears that you don't realize are governing you, fears of being in your own energy, fears of being who you are, because you've been programmed to reject yourself, programmed not to move in your own energy, programmed to move in what you have been told and believe is acceptable in your families, in your churches, back in school, among your peers and your friends, your colleagues, your work environment, right? All these places that you have to be accepted in, all these suits and energies that you need to be able to embody and fit in and act out and participate in to be accepted to the T, right, or to your idea of the T. And the person who least meets all of that is the one who's singled out, is the one who's projected onto, is the one who seems to generate the programmed people's emotions and have them project onto them. Those energy projections are not nice. They're isolating. They're not nice for the next person to experience. And you project those energies onto people, and then you judge them for not feeling, for responding and acting in a way that shows that they're not accepted, that shows that they're being judged. It's a horrible cycle, and it's, again, it's layer on top of layer on top of layer. It's the thoughts, it's the emotions, it's the projections that they have to deal with. And all of that is actually affecting them, affecting their energy, affecting their emotions, affecting their thoughts. You're creating and you're causing harm to another. And we don't, until you become self-aware, you don't take the time to actually see yourself in that way. You don't take the time to, figure out how to manage yourself and regulate yourself and see where you need to actually take control of yourself and be self-aware. It's all part of healing. It's all part of balancing yourself out. And it's all part of you learning how to control and move through your experience in this realm. Until you do that, you're literally in complete control of the outside world and the programming of the system. The way the system affects you, it goes way, way beyond just the mainstream media kind of stuff. It requires you to go within and unbind yourself mentally, in your beliefs, in your perspective. Recognize what is of the system that's affected you and what within you is not of the system. What of this experience in our universe is not of the system. Okay? It's another one of those big topics. But I'm gonna just leave it there. Okay. So try and take a little bit more time in considering the different ways that you're generating imbalance in the energetic and spiritual realm, and what that means for you and your soul's experience and journey in general, beyond just this lifetime. Okay? What you're experiencing in this lifetime as well, whether it's difficult, hard, good, bad, whatever it is, it's all things as well that probably need to be balanced out, that you've carried in from the past. And whatever you're generating and not working out in this lifetime, I've said it before, you're going to have to work it out and confront it and recreate those experiences, because the energy is existing within your soul energy, your soul memory, and your energetic memory in the next lifetime. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. I hope it's made sense. I hope you've been able to perceive it. I don't know who or how it's going to land with people, but I know that it will land with the right person at the right time. Okay, so today I'm going to pull a card from the Trust Your Vibes Oracle cards by Sonia Chike. Okay, and see what Spirit has to support our conversation, or give somebody who's watching our who's watching our video a nudge in a specific direction. Okay, let's see. It's a good marker to recognize and understand that if you're around somebody and you feel awkward, you feel embarrassed, you feel uncomfortable, maybe you're just having a reaction to their energy, and their energy might just be an energy that exists out of the space and realm of what you're used to as or see and perceive as normal. Okay, authentic people, no matter what they look like, can ignite those feelings inside you. And sometimes because you can't interpret the energy, you don't understand the difference in the energy, or sometimes they're just vibrating higher than you, or maybe lower than you. How you're programmed to interpret that feeling, or whatever it might look like to you in the physical realm. You're programmed, like I said, to generate emotion, to generate negative thoughts, to generate negative energy, and project onto them and engage in activities with yourself or with others, that again creates more imbalance, that again generates more negative energy that's being projected towards somebody. And being unconscious, you don't even realize that you're doing it. Okay? So if you're on the receiving end of that, maybe you just have a different energy. Maybe you're different. Maybe you're not somebody who exists in the realm of accepted and normal and what every other basic bitch out there might, be comfortable in and unable to understand and perceive. So you start picking up on the energy around you of judgment. You pick up on the energy around you of exclusion and people projecting distance and projecting dislike, and like you're not a part, but you can't understand why, because maybe people around you are smiling, but on the inside their programming has them projecting a whole lot of stuff towards you. So don't take those things personally, okay? Understand that it's them. It's got nothing to do with you. And you should never ever feel pressured by the energy and issues that are going on in other people to adjust yourself and move into what might be defined as normal or acceptable. Those are not places you want to be in. Be happy not to be a part of the crab bucket. Okay. Anyway, let's see what Spirit has to support our conversation, or to give somebody who's watching our video a nudge in a specific direction. Okay. So, love and be grateful. Okay. Be grateful for your experience. And, you can find humor in everything. Laugh at yourself. Don't judge yourself, because you're also just you're a victim to the programming, right? So you can laugh at yourself and how it's sometimes a way we're so unconscious is laughable. Laugh and be grateful that you actually have the opportunity to rectify these things. You have the opportunity to look within yourself and balance things out, because once you learn the lesson, once you dispose and dissolve that energy within you, you actually create a better timeline and outlook for yourself and your soul and your journey ahead in the future. You dissolve the potential for these experiences to have to manifest in your life, for you to have to confront them and learn the lesson and the experience and go through the experience that you've put somebody else through, and not realizing that now when you go through it, because of your programming, you interpret your life as being a victim, not realizing that you actually have to now experience what you put someone else through. It might not look exactly the same, but whatever the energy and the emotions and the feelings and the experiences, it will be the same. But because you're not aware of what you're putting others through, you won't be able to interpret it that way. But now you know, okay? And you have some idea now of how to actually reason, and the questions to ask as well, the divine and spirit. How to help you perceive things and interpret things, and not be too limited in the way you interpret and understand, and try to reason with what it is you might be going through in your life. So also move through your life gratefully, and be grateful for what you see and experience on the outside. If you find yourself judging, move into gratitude for the experience of it. You can change it around. Change the way you're cycling in your mind, and the way you're programmed to do things. But you have to be self-aware with that as well. Okay, so I'm going to read Be Grateful, and see what the book has to say, and then close up the video. Alright. Let's see. Number 52. Okay, so the book says, make a list of all that you've been given so that you can fully absorb how much abundance you truly enjoy in your life. Get out of the negative loop, okay? Get out of the judgment. Instead of judging, be grateful. If it's something that you are programmed to judge, try be aware of yourself going into judgment and into negative energy, and try move into gratitude. Try change that into being grateful about something. That's again projecting negative energy into the spiritual energy and space, okay? Think of this as a gratitude list. Add to it daily as you notice the little things in your life that you truly appreciate, rather than worrying about what you don't have. Look at all that you do have. Move out of the lack mindset. As you understand how thankful you should be, send a signal to the universe to give you more, and it will. That's all. So instead of being judgmental, instead of being nasty and ugly, be grateful. And if you've got nothing nice to say, nothing nice to think, nothing nice to feel, be quiet, manage yourself, be grateful, and go find something else to do, okay? The outside world is none of your business, but try and move out of the habit of judging, and also pay more attention to what you're feeding yourself with that's actually programming you, and reinforcing that programming of judgment. And also think about how what you're feeding yourself is programming you to judge and reject yourself, because however you judge and reject yourself is how you're judging and rejecting others. If you are trying to keep yourself in a space of normal, you reject the parts of you that you've been programmed to believe are not normal. So you reject those parts in other people and project onto them. Okay, so the more you also accept yourself, you'll be also more accepting and non-judging of other people and yourself. Okay, and start moving away and repelling those people who exist in an energy of judgment, who exist in an energy of repelling things they've been programmed to judge and feel awkward about and be uncomfortable around and see as not normal and unacceptable. You are acceptable as you are, and so is anything and anybody else out there, okay? Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. I'll see you guys in the next video. Alright, bye.